there will be more carbon emissions. So this will be again a constant for the future. Government may not come up with any friendly policy where the carbon emissions will be encouraged. So in that way, we have to go for the animal protein productions where the carbon emission will be less. So climate change resilient feed, that is also one of the aspects that we have to come up with. Yesterday also there was a lot of discussion in climate change aspect scenario, what we will do. So in that context, that we should start doing what type of species that we are going to culture in future, for which what type of feed should be developed. Now, one more changes we are seeing that genetically improved variety, it is coming up for many species, but we are not preparing or we are not prepared suitable feed for that species. That is a upcoming area that we will face in the future, that a suitable feed for a genetically improved species. Almost in India, we are coming with Rahu, genetically improved, that is Jayanti Rahu, genetically improved Katla, genetically improved that Macrobachium, Magur. So many species are coming. So in future, the list will be more. So this is the duty of the nutritionist to develop a suitable feed for these species. One more aspect, that whenever we are thinking for developing a suitable feed, reducing the feed cost, then we have to give attention for the nutritional requirement of the species. This study has already been done, so better to say redefining the nutritional requirement of the species in different scenario. If we will develop this thing, then maybe the protein requirement will come down. So when we are reducing the protein requirement, obviously our input cost for protein will be reduced and the feed cost will be reduced. At the same time, the environmental contribution will be, that is better. Available of the ingredients, last year the shrimp feed cost is increased 10 rupees in a year. Feasible. It is only due because the law has been changed. We have to pay more for they are getting a very damn cheaper price of this type of ingredients we should use, and how to the availability of ingredients so that they can, it is not, that is customer friendly, available in the market. So many, you are putting some cost to it. And in return, if you are a scientist or for the industry itself area, then feed for new species. We are adding some new species to our culture. It needs a separate feed, which are biofuel system. RS, I think that's here online. And 1.5 hours.
Retired from Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute 2 years ago, and a young team of another 4 people have joined CMFRA. So I have drawn heavily from them also. So because at the time of harvest, these fishes are not conditioned properly. Now this is a breakthrough since one of the projects with the CMFRA, which is scenarios has to be tested on farm to see whether a marine fish really needs 10% fat in its feed. Next. Now these are the species which has been bred by CMFRA, Cobia pompano, 2 varieties, and then you have the Lathrinus lenjan and Pomadas furcatus and Acanthopus pagus birda. Now these 2 were done in our Calicut center, and the lenjan was bred in Virinam center. Now these fishes, the requirements have to be worked out, but the other ones, we are a little bit ahead in research. Next. Now these are the ones which were bred recently by CMFRA. Ludjanus joni, I think Ritesh Ranjan is here, I don't know. He's the person behind it. And then the grouper and 2 or 3 types of, they are mostly perches. And of course this a vegetarian fish called Sijanus vermiculatus, which is mostly a herbivore. Now these are the ones which were bred recently. Now all these things have to be, we have to work out the requirements and the specificity of the feeds required for them. Next. Now on the commercialization front, that is what I told you, when we are going to test it on farm, we have to tie up with a commercial producer, and that has just begun. So they will be going for an on-farm trial for comparison with the trash fish feeding, and then coming out with the scenario in different locations in India. Next. Now that is the future, which I would like to conclude with. Commercial application of such knowledge is attempted by CMFRA and SIBA, both in marine and brackish water fishes, and whether a fat requirement of more than 10% is needed in marine fish feeds has to be ascertained in Indian conditions on farm. And the other point is the technologies. Fat coating technologies, they are already there. And trout feed, yesterday Biju told me that they are already producing it with in association with Growell. And I think SIBA already has a fat coater, isn't it? Amba, yeah. So experimentation is also possible. And large-scale commercial production of larval, nursery, and ornamental microfish should commence in India. Then only you can achieve these two objectives, that is conserving foreign exchange as well as the cost effectiveness. Now, what happens is when you import these type of feeds from abroad, first thing is the cost is high, and then the freight also adds to it. So it cost touches somewhere around 3,000, 4,000 rupees a kg, which is really exorbitant according to Indian standards. And then the next point, of course, Dr. Sahu was emphasizing on that, replacement of fish meal with several other options like the insects and microbial protein and algal oil, maybe krill oil also. They have also come to us, Acker, Merambayan, and SIBA has already published. CMFRA has also worked out one trial. That publication has not come. So that should be the future. Thank you. I think I'm on time because I don't want to get into more of, because most of my work is in ornamentals, marine ornamentals. So I have not touched upon that because you said it's for the cage.
Thank you very much. You are right in time. And briefly, you have given outline that at least it's information to the house that marine breeding of marine fishes started. One feed has been developed, pumpan of feed has been developed along with the industries. The nutritional requirement has been done for some species, and we have done that the culture of coffee pod, for which this is a key points for the breeding of marine fishes. The new chapter has been started in India. So many things, and you told that something. कितना production है? अभी 0.38 ना?
No,
0.1 million.
0.1.
0.1 ton.
And CMFRA projects it to 8 to 10 million tons.
So
because
potential is there.
Yeah, I think you saw a point there where they have, yesterday the industry people were objecting it, some 100 and some 300 and odd sites have been identified by special sites suitable for in the cage aquaculture has been identified by CMFR. Now that is also another document which has come out, but I don't know how far it will be accepted by the industry or the real entrepreneurs. And who will
So
be...
quickly we will take some question from the audience. Anything from the marine feed? Any questions?
Sir, you told that trash fish is being used for culture. This is wet feed or it is actually trash fish is pelleted, then it is used?
No pelletization. Only thing is it is beheaded, the head is removed, the gut is cleared so that the infection it carries can be reduced. But in spite of that, infection happens. So it is as good as, preparing fish for your household curry and cleaning it and feeding it.
You told that if you are using sardine for culturing sea bass, then sardine smell is coming and organoleptic problem is there.
Yes. See, any food product you take, like butter.
So you are telling it is not desirable.
Yeah, it is not desirable, but there are techniques to overcome that. That is what I was telling. Conditioning at the time of harvest, with either by stopping feeding it or feeding it with the correct fatty acid incorporated feed. This can be overcome. Now, these things the farmers don't know. Yeah. So commercially, when they produce, they get trash fish.
Sometimes, sir, if you boil it, that trash fish, and then after that use, then maybe that smell, maybe.
Yeah, but even this itself is a difficult activity for them. Chopping it and cleaning it, and then.
And you told that coffee pod you are using. Coffee
pod culture.
Is a live feed.
Live feed.
And what is this? Generally, actually, coffee pod size is bigger than the Artemia And
It is not the copypod adult which is fed. There are
the larvas you told.
copypodites. You know, the larval, it has a huge larval cycle.
Okay.
So you get all sorts of size ranges, starting from, say, phytoplankton, the microalgae size is less than 10 microns. So from there it starts, 15, 20, 50. Now all the entire size range can be covered with the copypod larvae. Okay, and most of it contain a rich or a good amount of phospholipids with the correct fatty acid ratio. So it is something very good. See, what happens in nature is, it is like the fish is born into a supermarket where everything is available. It goes and picks and chooses whatever it wants and feeds. But when you do it in a hatchery, you are restricting it. So when you are giving an array or a size array like this, they easily take it and it meets the requirements of the larvae.
And
That
what
is,
what is the actually nutritionally difference between copepod and artemia? Because artemia.
Artemia by nature is deficient in fatty acids. You know that. Artemia nauplii are deficient in polyunsaturated fatty acids. That's why we go for enrichment, isn't it? Both. So they have to be
Any
enriched.
other questions from the audience? One question, okay.
See now this mariculture and fish production we are discussing. So everything tailor into the cost of production. So is there any data that say for example a marine fish like sea bass, what will be the cost of production for the marketable size, say for 750 gram, and with that what will be, because your feed is mostly now nothing less than 120 rupees per kilo. And,
Almost 100.
Yeah. FCR is, I think 2.2. So, what would be the cost of production for a farmer or anybody? Is any data available that?
I don't have myself the hard data, but what I could rely on is it is there in the slide. Can I have that slide? Some 180 or so is the production cost, and the farm gate price is somewhere around 260 or something they have put. That is how they are working out the economics. But I am not sure how far it is true. Let me admit very clearly, because because there is a nursery phase also. No, you know it very well. So it's about a 10 or 15 centimeter size larvae. It has to be grown, and then the stockable size is only then put there. So cost of production, it is not clearly there in the public domain. So we have to come out with all the types of permutations and combinations, and conditions also vary from East Coast and West Coast. So in all these multi-locational trials, we have to come out with all this data. It is not some idea. That is it. Yeah, you have to demonstrate or show them, this is the cost. Now, this is the cost of production. This is the, what is the procurement price, or this is the retail price. Then only they will accept it. Otherwise, nobody is going to take it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sir, I have one question, sir. Kindly permit
The
me.
last question we can take because we are, okay. Okay.
Sir was talking about this copy pots. In the past, probably in 90s and in the early 2000, we used to use the Artemia cysts.
Nauplii.
No, not Nauplii. We use the Artemia
Cyst.
At the hatchery, we will hatch out and we feed it the animal. Now there is a exclusive commercial operation where we produce only the Artemia nauplii. In bulk it is done and supplied to the hatcheries. In the case of copy pot, sir, I understand that it is highly nutritious and as you say, there is long size ranges, different size ranges. Why we are not, why are we not able to get into a commercial production? Why I am asking this question is, recently I had been to China. There is a company which is exclusively harvesting this copy pot from wild processing it and he is selling it. And for me, I think it is one important area where we should also get into. No? I don't know. I think I have no idea on this production side, sir. So it is a wild thought. Either we should grow it in an in-house, a system like what we do in the hatcheries and things like that, or is there any possibility that systems in the open systems can be used to ranch these and then harvest it, something like that.
Let me admit that I am not an expert on copy pods. It is done by one Dr. Santosh in our Virinyam Center of CMFRA. And what I understand is recently he has been funded by DBT heavily to work more on this. So all these things which you told are possibilities because the wild harvested copy pods are already available in the market, and I think it is from Norway mainly, if I'm right. Is it?
Norway is there, and we have.
Yeah, Yeah.
I had
So all these are possibilities. That is off the shelf. If you have a product like that, that is very good. Otherwise, maintaining live cultures is like always managing a crisis situation. It may collapse anytime. But now what I understand is they have standardized almost all the very good protocols are made. And even today morning, Dr. Ritesh was telling that even we are getting very good numbers. Especially the problem with this copy pods when they breed, the fecundity is very less. So the numbers you are able to collect is also few. Now that bottleneck, they say they have overcome with 1 or 2 species which they were mentioning. That is what I am telling you, that I am not a expert on this. So Dr. Santosh at Virinyam is the person who is leading this work.
Okay, Dr. Vijayagopal, I think a lot of questions will be there, I hope.
Okay.
Just please tell your email address so that people can ask you.
Yeah, it is.
Email. Just you can tell it, people who will not it, those who are required for anybody else.
Yeah, it is there in my first slide, VG Cochin. Yeah, in the first slide it is there, both my email ID and phone number both are there.
First slide, I don't.
For the information of others, I will.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Vijayagopal, for giving a very new information on marine feed technology. So we will thank you with this, and we will move to the second speaker. Our second speaker will be, I am happy to announce that Mr. Dr. S. Sarvanan is a global technical commercial manager of Selco, Netherlands. I am happy to announce that he is also my student during his MSc. So I am happy to see you, Dr. Sarvanan. So please, you just describe about sustainable aqua feed and industry perspective. So only 10 minutes time will be there, and some few questions will be there because this is the last sessions and people who are in the mood to go. So you cannot extend it beyond 5:30. Thank you very much, Dr. Sarvanan. Please go ahead. So unmute. Unmute yourself, then make it in slideshow mode. Yes, that's fine. Go ahead. You are not audible, Dr. Sarvanan. You are on mute, but still then. Huh? No. यहाँ कोई problem है क्या? But he is not so audible, na? No. Oh. Sarvan, you can just log in again, log out and log in again. No, you are not audible. No, on verified. So in the meantime, you can go to third speaker. Sarvanan, please just verify what is the problem. Then we are going to third speaker. Then you will be the next speaker then. Okay? I think he is log out. आएगा फिर. I think he's log out, na? He cannot listen also. He's trying to commit agan. No, we cannot share. He cannot listen to us. Okay, in the meantime, you can move to third. Next speaker. He's there? Patrick? Huh? Mr. Patrick is there? Yeah. Okay. Dekho. Okay, please. Mr. Patrick, he's the CEO of Inve Technologies, Belgium. Inve is very famous and almost it is known to everybody. So I think that your talk will be on advances in feed technology. This is the one area that is only given to you, and a lot of that is what is the recent technology being used in aqua feed. So we will listen from you. We expect to complete within the stipulated time. So some discussion will be there. Thank you very much. Oh, Sadharan has come. Okay, anyway, you can start.
Thank
Sadharan,
you.
please wait. After this talk only, you will be given.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sao. Thank you also very much to Mr. Anthony Xavier for inviting me to participate to this conference. Very nice occasion. Also, I would like to say that it's a pleasure for me to be here. Yes, I might be the CEO of Inve Aquaculture, but I had also previous lives. And in my previous life, it happened that I was also very actively working in the fisheries industry. And I feel very pleased to be here because combining the fisheries and the aquaculture, this is a great event. Why is that? I was processing fish coming from pelagic fisheries, coming from the North Sea. And at a certain moment of my life, I also realized, oh my God, something is happening here. So I happily sold my company and I happily joined the aquaculture world. And I think I was right. It was exactly at the year, it was in 2013, 14, when the fisheries declined and where you had the aquaculture surpassed the fisheries. And that is an extremely important moment for all of us. So that was just as a small introduction, but I feel that it's important to see different witnesses coming from the fisheries and also stepping over to aquaculture. And you might have listened to the sessions also yesterday about salmon. A lot of salmon aquaculturists, they're also coming from their family businesses, which were also coming from fisheries. So we all have to be ready for this blue transformation as well. A small introduction to the next slide where we have an introduction to the benchmark. Next slide, please. A very small introduction to the benchmark group because everyone is very familiar with Inve, and I just wanted to explain you the context and which part of the group we are as Inve. In the benchmark group, we are a leading company in genetics where 1 on 3 eggs of salmon produced globally is coming from our company. So I think on the genetic side, in the salmon feed, we have a leading position, and we are entering also in some other fish species and also in the shrimp species where we are also playing an important role. There is a second division within the benchmark group, which is advanced nutrition, which is actually Inve. And then we have a third division, which is taking care of health, which is more an issue in Norway with regards to the sea lice issues in Norway, where we are addressing also those matters. Everything we are doing in the group is also aimed with sustainability. And this is something extremely for us, so this is really embedded in our genes, sustainability. I was very happy to come and speak about sustainability, but I think this is a key. And why is this a key? Because we are all concerned. Next slide, please. At INVE, we look at the sustainability in a global way and in a holistic way. So you might think about, yes, feed is a concern for sustainability, but it's a concern at all stages, and not only just with feeds, but with all the technologies that we are addressing through the different life stages. This is happening in the hatchery. As we heard previously, you have copepods or you have Artemia technologies. Those are very sustainable technologies, actually, because these resources are maintained in a sustainable way. In the Artemia, for example, we have been granted this year with a MSC certification, so sustainable Artemia culture from the GSL in the US. A live feed is actually very, very sustainable. Why is that? This is a micro-encapsulated feed. And this is coming from Mother Nature. We were just coming out of it. And this is extremely important. It will not leach if it is fed at the right life stage. So this is already one way of addressing sustainability at the very early stage. You can also consider the microalgae. Also, a very, very good example. Mother Nature is producing microalgae. Microalgae, not very expensive to produce. All hatcheries are producing those on site, some with some maybe some biological or some microbiological issues, but you can produce it on site as well, and those are micro-encapsulated feed produced not only in India but inside a hatchery. So I think those solutions are ready, available already. On the nursery side, nursery as a definition is also a sustainable solution. Why is that? Because you are creating there the bridge between the hatchery and the farm, and you are ensuring that you are going to have a higher survival rate, preparing and preconditioning your larvae, your fry, to the ponds. So those are technologies that we are all applying to a better sustainability of the aquaculture. On the other hand, you have also then the grow-out phase. What do we do there at the grow-out phase? How sustainable can we have a role there? And I will be more specific in the next slide on that. But in the grow-out stage, I think first of all in the aquaculture, we are the most sustainable example because the FCR that we have compared to the terrestrial production, it is much lower. So our impact and our carbon footprint is much lower. So this is all for us an opportunity to promote much more our sustainable way of producing. In the grow out, there is also even one part where you can think about how sustainable, where can I also include sustainability? And I think also that you have addressed this here, Dr. Sao. It is also on the genetic part. In the genetic part, if we do our right job, we can improve also the FCR, and reducing the FCR will also have a sustainable part. Another way where you could be sustainable, it is looking at the animal welfare. We're speaking, for example, in shrimp about eye stalk ablation. We are also developing lines, and I think this is all our duty to look at different ways of production and stopping ablating shrimp to improve the spawning. And we are working in those directions. We have those solutions, but those are also ways just to say that even at the genetic part or at the broodstock level, we can be also much more sustainable. Next slide, please. So why are we going for this sustainability? What is driving us to this sustainability? I think that there are first two factors. My kids are one part of the factor. My kids, they are coming from the Y or Z or Z generation, as you want to call them. They are asking you, they are asking us, to be much more sustainable. And what they want to eat, they are choosy and picky, and they say, I'm not going to touch this because now it has flown over the world, it has this carbon footprint and that I want something sustainable. And they are imposing this to us. It's a new world. They are creating new rules. We have to live with that. But on the other hand, we also have to face the reality. And the reality is that the oceans, the population in the ocean is going down. And there is a scarcity of the resource. And we know that if we want to be successful in the aquaculture, we also have to preserve the fish from the ocean. And we are depending on this scarce resource, and we have to preserve it. But for that, we also have solutions. And also to ensure our main markets, because we are exporting markets and the importing markets like Europe and the US, well, they want to be sure that it is sustainable. And therefore, you have all these kind of sustainable labels which ensure the identity, the traceability, the chain of custodies are there. So this is ensuring the consumers, because at the end, everything we produce is for consumers. Yes, and we always have to think consumers. Sometimes we think, differently, but I think we have to follow what the consumer also imposes us to do. So sustainability, it's sourcing traceability. You have mentioned this one before. You have the social accountability. You also mentioned this one. The manufacturing way, the way we process also is very important. The environment accountability, of course, this is then your impact on the environment, and then the community engagement. Go to the next slide. And next to the criteria, you have mentioned, Dr. So, previously, you have affordable price. It has to be affordable in price. It has, a substitute has to be something comparable or at least more efficient. So we're looking for efficiencies. We have to have also, it has to be scalable. Also very important. The traceability should be there because everyone wants to ensure that you have this traceability. You have the natural sustainability, and then you have also, that was previously mentioned by Dr. Vijayagopal, which was then the high density in protein and UFA. We have to find those criteria back into, sorry, maybe you can move, in the emerging solutions. Can you maybe move a bit more? More left? So in the emerging solutions that we are bringing and that we have to all think about is you have to look at different criteria. What is the protein content? What is the environmental sustainability? Is the consumer acceptance there? And then the feasibility of it. And for that, you have to address it for different categories of ingredients. Whether this is an ingredient which is coming from the fisheries byproducts, whether this is coming from insect meals, so new protein sources, or then from microbial biomass like bacteria, yeast, microalgae. And then you have also to assess the macroalgae, which also could play an important role. Each of them, you have to score them according to the criteria. So those are the factors which we think we always have to screen before going further into the study. Now, on the other hand, there are also two other factors which I want to include into the holistic approach. And that holistic approach is not just feed ingredients, but it is also technologies. Technologies to improve efficiencies. I'm not going to go too deep into those things, but I think generally, you understood me, we have to improve efficiencies at all stage. And this is done through artificial intelligence. It can be done through automation. And I just take an example here that which everyone will understand. An automatic feeder and an intelligent automatic feeder will help you to reduce your FCR, definitely. So this is also a sustainable solution. This is helping us. Those are tools which are already ready available, just to mention that example. You have also another one, which is a biomass measurement, which I've heard about, which is measuring the biomass, whether within fish or in shrimp. This is still under development, and this is working under controlled conditions, but has to be further improved. And I believe that those solutions are solutions for the future. On the other side, you also have environmental and health, where I think the microbes, like probiotics, they are also playing a very, very important role for the future. With the usage of probiotics, and you know probiotics, you can use them for different purposes. It can have an effect on the gut, and if it has an effect on the gut, then it can have also an effect on the digestibility. Improvement of the digestibility is extremely important, so applying or post-coating the probiotics on grow-out feeds could really improve the digestibility and reduce your FCR. Not only that, the probiotic is also having a very important role for the bioremediation. So it can also improve the water condition. Recirculation systems, where you can also there improve that role. Gut, water column, and last but not least, water, the pond bottom. Leave your pond as clean as when you start. And I think this is also something very critical, because if we want to ensure the future of the next 40 years of aquaculture, or 100 years, we have to take care of the pond bottom. This is valid and for fish and for shrimp. This is crucial, because if you have your pond bottom polluted, you will never be able to have a proper crop. So those are just criteria, and I don't know if I'm really repeating myself, but I think those are criteria where we have to further focus on. Next slide, please. And I'm finishing here my presentation with the next slide, which I believe we have to listen to our Z or Y generation, and they are asking us for sustainable and sustainable solutions. And if we want to increase the production of aquaculture, we have to further go in this direction. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patrick. We know that Inve is doing very good with so many products which are really useful for the sustainability. You have highlighted some issue, just like traceability of the ingredients. If the ingredients are being from the different sources which are giving more carbon emissions, that may not be encouraged to be used in the future aquafeed. That's a good point. Then use of artificial intelligence, for management, it also plays a major role, which also indirectly helps for the sustainability. Then gut microbes, the major role. The research has been done on ruminants or the animals or the gut microbes. That type of research has not been done in case of fish, but gut microbes plays a major role for enhancing the digestibility, nutrient utilization. So that also a long way to go for, again, contributing towards the sustainability. Then management of soil and water, what you're telling. Exactly, you have to give equal attention for soil and water management, for which also giving or contributing towards that is sustainability. So finally, the technology should be used for addressing the issue of sustainability. So that's very good points you have raised. Quickly, we can take some question if somebody is interested for asking one or two questions from the audience. No?
Good afternoon, sir. Actually, I represent fish meal industry, and we are called as Indian Marine Ingredient Association. We are basically working on the sustainability last 2 years. We are working with Marine Trust, and we do understand the requirement. But there are a lot of misconceptions. I have a question with you. Is a pelagic fish highly unsustainable?
Unsustainable?
Yeah, because here what is happening in India is sometimes, there is no proper research on certain fisheries. What we hear across the world, I've been traveling a lot of countries, including Peru, Chile, where we have seen that, the pelagic fishes are called as the highly sustainable fish, which needs proper, nourishment and, we need to manage the fishery well. So, but here it is like, certain things have come across and sardine, in India we have sardine, lesser sardine and other species which are highly sustainable. But I really don't know how the things came out. We have banned, the industry from the growth, saying that sardine is unsustainable. There were certain factors like, in the sense, global warming, El Nino. During that period, we did not have a sardine, but later on, the sardine has come back. But my question is sardine unsustainable in the world?
Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to answer fully to your question, but what I can tell you for my experience, and when I was speaking about my personal experience as a fish processor, I was using one special, which is almost sardine-like. It's called a sprat. It's almost disappeared just 1 year after I happily sold my company. And unfortunately for the person who took it over, it was over. But more seriously, coming to the sustainability of the sardine or other pelagic fish species, if you look in the European Union, we have put very, very severe rules. And this started already 2 decades ago. And we looked at the stocks, and the stocks, they were going down, down, down. And then they start to put bans. Everybody was extremely nervous. And we criticized those bans. But today, we can thank for those bans, because these bans have first led to a ban, but then we came to quotas. And quotas, thanks God, they were very, very well managed, very closely managed. As I understood yesterday, you are also going to have a monitored system here in India, where you're going to have a kind of data center where you will be able to assess maybe the stock. I don't know. Are you just taking the catch, but you're not measuring the stock? I cannot comment on that. But it's very important to know what is your stock, and this is also why FAO has divided the whole sea with different FAO areas, where you must have a surveillance on those areas, keep an eye on the stock, put some quotas, respect the quotas, make them respected, continue to measure, and ensure that that the quota was right, because maybe the quota was set too low or too high. And if you see that you have a replenishment at that moment of the resource, then you're doing a good job.
We are asking for the assessments with the government, the CIFRI department. But apart from the sardine, we do have 6 or 7 pelagic fishes like scarp, mackerel,
yeah.
anchovies, lizard in India, abundant. And we do not have proper assessment data on it. Maybe because of that, service industries has been restricted instead of being, the laws are bringing into enforcement. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. And
Okay. Okay.
Kindly be sensitive to the data and the research is done. Kindly don't say that there is no stock assessment done. There is a very recent study by CMFRA, highly published. It says 91% of Indian stocks are sustainable. 91% of Indian stocks are sustainable. Okay? So why are you saying that there
Yes,
is no
yes, yes.
data? There is a data available. Number one. Number two, your question about putting a ban on industry, there is no ban on industry. The ban on Persian that you are trying to hint, the ban on Persian has a different dimension. Then where is the ban on pelagic fisheries? No, that is a different story. It has nothing to do with the sustainability. Yeah. See, it has. See, you are tying two knots. You are trying to tie the moratorium on fish meal and the sustainability. No. No. Okay.
Okay,
Thank
thank you,
you for that.
Patrick.
Huh?
Okay, thank you very much. You can go.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Sarvanan, welcome back. Can you hear us? Again, you are not audible. No. Same problem persists. Some problem is there. ना उसका वॉइस आना चाहिए ना हाँ ऐसे some problem is there हाँ something is coming but then what is the problem Saron from your side volume is huh? Speaker oh will you check it हाँ something is coming there ना वो स्पीकर से नहीं हो रहा है यस लैपटॉप में आ रहा है तो कनेक्ट टू स्पीकर आ रहा है ना देखो ना स्पीकर हाँ 18 yes you can put it क्या problem है Biju something problem here only huh पहले क्यों चेक नहीं किया इसको मैंने अस्थि टाड़ को रहा था ना yes you are audible now you can go ahead thank you very much
Sorry, everyone.
okay
Sorry for all. IT is always not my strength. So, thanks, Patrick, for jumping in to rescue me. And thanks, Salvador, and the rest of the panel and speakers and audience as well. I think I take my time. I think 10 minutes. I think put my time. Otherwise, I start taking episodes. Okay. Thanks. And I'm actually honored and humbled to be here. And I'll be able to see my full screen because I'd like to see audience as well. So, I see. Okay. Okay. Today I'm going to talk about sustainable aqua feeds. My title I got, so I thought, okay, let's take it as a challenge. It's a good challenge. Next one, as the content of our next 10 minutes, I'm going to briefly talk about Nutrico, just to give who I am or who we are. And then I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest challenges of producing sustainable aqua feeds. What are those? Because short and this big topic, as I said, sustainability is very complex. The kind of buzzwords or everywhere uses. But what it is and what it is when it comes to sustainable aqua feeds, what are those 3 big challenges in the coming future? A little bit about Nutrico, and I work for Nutrico, nutrition business, and we are a private-owned company and part of SHB, a big company based in the Netherlands. And we have over 60,000 employees globally, and of course, Mexico is part of this. So, and a privilege to cover this. A little bit about Nutrico, and Nutrico has one of the global leaders in animal nutrition. We have two wings. One is on farm nutrition, and mixes, and also complete feed program. Foods. Also, we have a dedicated company, which is Aqua segment. And except Antarctica, we are present in all the continents and produce roughly 9.4 million tons of feed annually, and out of which roughly 2.3 billion tons of aqua feed. And we are over 12,000 people, and we are growing in also growing markets. And to bring this, of course, India is a growing market when it comes to animal. As I said, we are already in India. Have been doing business first, but actually, recent times, we are also making in India. We have two plants, farm nutrition premix plants in Telangana, where we produce vitamin mineral premixes and specialty minerals and feed. Also, we have a scrapping feed factory in Gujarat. So that's a big, and again, our big mission and purpose of is feeding. It's not an easy task. It's not one that I think we need the help of people. Everyone has to feed the future. More responsible and sustainable. I'm gonna, and when it comes, what are the challenges we need to figure when it comes to assessment? So the first challenge I would say is the ingredient gap. What I need in that. So if you look at the graph here, this is the amount of aqua feed or compound feed used. Question how accurate this is, but in general, we see clearly over the last 2 decades, we got aqua feed production is from 30 million to 52 million metric ton per year annually. So that's, and again, when you see the fish meal, which is typically used in processed resource, and there the use of fish meal or marine resources increased in proportion maximum. So using 20% in the past, now we are around 10% of fish meal. So we are managing that with a lot of other ingredients coming and terrestrial sources, plant-based. But again, the challenge is sustainability is again doing or maintaining, supporting the process, producing in the future. So if you expect the same growth rate, and we are expecting in the next 30 years to grow double the amount of aquaculture production. So the FAO estimates to produce 140 million metric ton of aquaculture seafood. That is, it will be the main source of seafood in that time, 30 years from now. And how are we going to manage to feed, to produce those feeds? Where are we going to find that actually? Because we are not going to get more from marine, because it will be I think it will be good to be stable, because I think we are already harvesting in a more sustainable way. We can't go more. I think we are doing good. I think in overall, generally speaking, globally, from Peru to Chile to India and Morocco. But how are we going to fill this gap by other things? So I bring an example, from a case study from Norwegian example. So this is a challenge. For example, this is the feed ingredient used in Norwegian salmon feed, percent of ingredient total. So if you take the 1990s, I don't know, just clearly 1990s, we were more than 60%. More than 60-70% of feed is composed of fish meal, and today we are roughly about less than total marine ingredient, including fish meal and fish oil, is around 22. So still there is a way to go, but it's more going lower and lower. But then we are replacing that with plant-based ingredients. So today, if you take Norway, they are using roughly 60% of plant-based ingredients coming in, and then some of the fractions carbohydrate, which is quite stable over the years. And then micro ingredients, the blue part is 12%. And then already we are looking how are we going to fill the basket of raw materials or feed ingredients. So we are starting, in 2020, see only less than a fraction, less than 1% of feed ingredients comes from novel feed ingredients that typically includes, let's say, algae meal or algae oil, insect meal. It's a very, very small amount, less than 10% I would say. And So this is projection. Let's say if you take an example, projection of Norway's feed for salmon in Norway. In 2020, we are using 1.8 million tons of feed for salmon. In 2030, we are expecting to another 1 million tons. How are we going to? Industry is looking how are they going to fill the gap? Where are we going to get the raw materials from? So that's why they are already started looking. So this is a big challenge, not only 2030, also not only for Norway, it's globally, also including India, that will be a big challenge. And again, as I said, we are competing with all the commodities, corn, wheat, soybean, we are competing with poultry, swine, and ruminants. So there is a finite resource on land as well. So how are we going to take this challenge? So when you take one of the focus area has been lately novel feed. What I mean there is, okay, these are ingredients which are it's coming new way of producing. For example, novel marine ingredients which can be benthic species or actually seafood industry trimmings. So more and more are used today. So you are recycling, taking the trimmings from other industries and recycling it from the seafood industries. Option algae and also land-based proteins. Processed animal proteins is a good source. And so again, there is a big feed gap in Norway alone, and I think every country, also in India, should look into what are the gaps, how are we going to fill the gaps. Because increasing demand will increase the price of those feed ingredients as well in the market. So, focus area, as I said, one of the main limiting resources is omega-3, EPA, specifically speaking, EPA and DHA for growth of aquaculture. That actually it's a good that technology and innovation has been bringing new alternative sources, more sustainable algae or genetically modified new seeds. There are different companies working on genetically modified oils, which are high in EPA and DHA, also algae or algal oils, and then that's one very good source. These are farmed on land in a more intensive way with less resources. Insect is a very good way, protein coming in, but it takes time. Single cell protein is another option, it's a protein source. And again, there are underutilized resources. It can be from byproducts from other industries, but also underutilized resources from, for example, Aqua or other sources. I don't know. So there can be these things has to be looked country by country and also globally as well. So this is the focus area. I think industry as industry, we have to take this challenge. How are we going to get the feed ingredients? How are we going to? Second challenge I see improvement in feed efficiency. So this is the economic FCR that is across how much you feed you put into the pond or the net pens and how much you are taking in. So if you look from 1975, that's the industrialization of aquaculture across species, salmon, carp, fish, tilapia, marine salmon. There is a lot has been done over the past 50 years, or 20, 30, 50 years, close to that. So what we have done, we have significantly made a big step from reducing economic FCR, and these steps improvements have been made with a lot of R&D research on nutritional requirements. We have moved from grass protein, crude protein requirement to digestible protein requirement to amino acid requirement. Feed technology also plays a role. It's not only knowing the nutrient requirement, but also how to put it in a nicer way. Feeding management and farm management, all those things help to bring down the economic FCR. But then if you see the last 10 years, it's pretty much flat. Of course, you can challenge, there is an improvement, but it's pretty flat to see what we have done in the past for this area. So how are we going to do this? Because there is a diminishing returns on improvement in economic FCR. That means, what I mean here is we need to put more effort, more resources in research, more efforts in technology innovation to gain the best possible we can squeeze out of that efficiency from the feed. So how are we going to focus, how are we going to improve that? So I always look in other industries, for example, broilers, which is very well managed, highly advanced animal production. If you take example from there, when I look, FCR, they look at second digit. You know, if they look at 1.48 versus 1.45, you know, so 0.03 minutes. We are not there yet. So I believe each unit in FCR improvements will give it's contributing a lot to sustainability. You know, you need less, and also you're using less if using resources more efficiently. So overcoming loss, I think the next biggest challenge is one of the challenges economic FCR is mortality. One of the biggest challenges in aquaculture is disease challenges. We lost a lot due to uncontrollable diseases and parasites, virus, you name it. You know, a lot of biological issues there. Farming. So that's we need to really work on to overcome how we can reduce the losses due to disease challenges. The other thing is we need to increase our effort on nutritional research to really nail down to what is the last possible we can get it. Like in the broilers, there is a lot to be gained there when I look at that. Another thing is feeding. You know, one thing is we can't improve what we can't measure. So we need to have a good farm management and feeding management in aquaculture in general. So we should know the numbers because that's why we can improve. If you don't know what you are doing, that you can't improve. So we need better data as well. So that's also then comes with farm management and feeding. So these are the areas I see going forward to produce, improve the feed efficiency that will contribute to sustainable feed production. The next big challenge, I think this is most complex. I think it has been picked up a little bit. So this is the data from One World. Actually, this is a research published in Science in 2018, and they compared the contribution of different animal proteins on CO2, called carbon footprint. And if you look top three, beef, lambs, all ruminants, of course, has higher methane emissions, have higher top rank. But basically, farmed shrimps and farmed fish are on the top list. But again, when you look at the spread of the curve, how much the variation which is spread is quite long. That means you can really be very efficient in farmed shrimp, for example, farmed shrimp. You can produce from 10 kilo today, 10 kilo of carbon equivalent per 100 gram of shrimp protein. And there is a lot of way to gain here. But also you can be there is a huge spread. Same goes for farmed shrimp as farmed fish. And again, farmed fish, there are more than dozens of fish are farmed. Which species, where it is formed, how it is formed, and how this is managed in the pond system. So this will have an impact on this. Why this is important? Because climate change is a big challenge ahead of us for everyone, globally speaking. And again, every young generation is very, very aware of what they are doing, what they are buying, how they are using, what they are eating. So this will have an impact on our seafood industry as well. Because we take India, for example, big money comes from exporting seafoods. That means consumers are demanding, already demanding actually, what is the carbon footprint of my food I'm eating? The shrimp produced in India, what's the carbon footprint? They are asking, and as an industry, we need to answer those questions of customers and retailers. But so there is a lot to gain here. That means we need to work more. That's good news. Same again, where this carbon comes from. If you look at prawn, there is their value chain, land use, get the feed ingredients, farm level, animal feed, processing, transport, retail and packaging. So where this is impacted. Look, the lot of prawn, the main majority of carbon or footprint comes from farm and animal feed and farm management. Big portion, both in prawn farming or shrimp farming and also fish farming. So we need to work on how we can reduce the impact of feed and then how we can reduce the impact of the farm level. So focus areas, again, in EU is a big market and US is a big market for seafood. I mean, seafood is the most distributed of animal protein in the world compared to other seafood. Half of, according to analysis in Financial Times, they say half of green claims used to sell products in the European market, any market, are misleading. And this is going to hit as the whole industry, everyone, all the farmers. From the industry, from feed producers, all the way to the farmers and exporters. Regulations are coming in and they want to say, you need to provide the facts to support any claims you make. If you say sustainable shrimp from India, they need to know, you have to show what you mean, what are you doing. And there are new legislations coming in from the European Union, for example, product environmental footprint. That means we have to declare what is the impact of the product on the environment as such, and green climate initiative. So again, certification systems like ASE, BAP, and best practices are going to implement the LCA, life cycle analysis method to assess environmental footprint. Many things are coming, so we as an industry, this is a big challenge we have to prepare to focus on it. So when it comes to feed, a lot of impact is already starting with the ingredients, procuring, sourcing the feed ingredients. If you take fish meal, fish oil, of course, depending on what kind of fisheries you are coming in, what kind of fuel you are fishing, land impact, land resource use. So, obviously, all this is impact. You see a big differences in kilogram of CO2 equivalent per ton of product between all the feed ingredients commonly used. So, this is important. And when we are formulating feed today, actually, we have to use as a metrics in our formulation tool to see what is this kilogram of carbon footprint for this feed type, and use this kind of ingredients in the formulation. So as a company, we are committed and we are helping moving forward to reach our goals. We set our goals to be in 2030. We have science-based targets to reach, and again, we have to work in close collaboration with our suppliers to reach our goals. As I said, most of the impact comes from the ingredients we buy from the suppliers, and we have helped downstream all the way back to the suppliers to help in a better way, to manage it in a better way. So, this is what we have. We have a mindfield print. We do have one point in, I think, in the cup, maybe not, I think within the next 5 years, you have to put a label on your feed. In India, I think we are doing already in Europe, I would say, how much CO2 this 1 kilogram of over 1 ton of fish feed is coming with. And then when you are formulating today in our feeds, we are using carbon emissions, carbon footprint or environmental factors into our formulation to take into account. Yeah. So, and again, at the end of the day, customers will see how much shrimp from Ecuador is 100 grams of shrimp from Ecuador carbon footprint, or from India, or from Vietnam. This is what will happen in coming year. Thank you for your attention and a little bit over time, but so apologies for that. I think what I want to say is being sustainable it's good for planet. I think that's very important, not to people, but also for profit of the companies. And I take the opportunity to thank my colleagues who supported Hollywood.
Thank you, Sarvanan, for giving a brief outline.
And if you have more questions, visit at the booth 119. You are also present physically there.
Yeah. So, I think again it is some different approaches. Moros and what the previous speakers also told about the sustainable, how to address sustainable issues. Any one or two questions we can take from audience? Anybody interested? Or any questions? Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Shivali. I'm representing Green Grahi. We are representing here a sustainable ingredient company. We are a black soldier fly insect, basically waste ingredient producer. And we see insect protein or insect-based ingredients are seen as an alternative, as a sustainable alternative. So I just wanted to take your view on, when we talk about sustainability space, how companies like us can play a role in this entire domain, especially in a country like India, which is still, sustainability is still a far-fetched, it's still far from being implemented on ground. But what kind of strategies do you think that we can focus on today, considering that future is going to be, for all of us, sustainability is going to be a main objective?
You are from India, you are a producer of black insect meal, black soldier fly producer. And you are asking, sustainability in India is at the early stage, how the novel ingredients is going to help with the sustainability ambitions. Yeah? So one thing is, for me, it's not about replacing any of the ingredients. We need more. That's what we need more. Cost effective, of course. There is a cost for everything, because so when it comes to novel feed ingredients, of course, it is most. I think it will be there. Future more and more, you see new novel ingredients will be used in shrimp feed and fish feed globally. And people are going to pay for the sustainability measures. There is a market as well already. We see the retailers, for example, all the big supermarkets like say the Walmart or McDonald's or KFC, they are asking numbers. They need to show what the carbon impact of these our product, what we are selling to customers. So if you have your feed ingredients or insect produce in India has a lower carbon footprint and the right price, of course, in the market, I think it's a good value proposition for the whole industry, for feed producers, but also for retailers and for end consumers. So, but you need to come up with a clear, metrics, how you measure it, what it takes to reach that. Because at the end, you can't pay extremely high because we are in a commodity market as well. At the end of the day, everything is traded. So the right price and right carbon footprint will be the goal. So we classify in a way, impact on footprint and cost per kilogram of available nutrient, digestible protein or EPA. That's what we try. So if you put on that level, we want to know low cost, low footprint. That's where the ideal area is. And of course, sometimes you would like to pay, but we have to pass on the cost to others in the value chain. So in that case, we will be sometimes willing to take low impact on footprint but then high cost. There we need partners to take on, because as a feed industry cannot take as such the whole burden. We have to pass on to the final consumers, and we need to work throughout. And we have examples within our company that we work all the way from, it's an example in the Netherlands, where the biggest supermarket retailers, and then connecting all the way to products, for example. So we are selling, producing feed, and it works.
Saron, I agree, but you think we need more. But at the same time also...
We need more. Not the thing to replace, we need more.
We need more at the same time. We need more ingredients having less carbon footprint. In future, we will be constrained to use some ingredients which have more carbon footprint, because maybe government policy may come that may be high tax, everything, so to encourage that is eco-friendly feed. So in that context it may be, but thing is that only for insect meat, scalability, low cost, these are the issues which needs to be addressed so that it will be a future novel ingredients.
Absolutely, I think sustainability will have a very big decision making going forward, overall speaking. And I think it's not just a buzzword, to be honest, anymore. People want to put in numbers, and that will be gonna have an impact.
Yes.
Policy wise, how we are doing. So this is we are getting really that space.
Okay.
Which is good.
Saron, I have a question for you. I'm just wondering, in a wild thought, when you're showing that your data from Norway is showing a shift from the conventional protein sources to plant protein sources, is there any way that the seaweed is a plant material? Maybe I'm sounding stupid, but still bear with me.
No.
Okay, so seaweed as a plant material, can it ever be used as an ingredient, like a plant protein source, or either for fish feed or shrimp feed? Is there any work done on this area?
Yes, they are looking into seaweed as well. I mean, they look everywhere. As I said, they need more. They need sustainable, and they have. Norway has a very big coast, and of course we have a seaweed as well. But again, seaweed, you need so much because it's so much to harvest, and again it has a cost as well, and it has its own impact on environmental impact. So it looks like on a bigger picture, it looks nice, but if you deep dive into the segment, the amount of protein you need, because it's a main protein, what it contains, and the amount you need to process that to harvest, cost, the energy, what energy you're going to use, that's, I don't know yet, but I think this has been worked out. It is, so they are looking into it, they are really, trying to concentrate those proteins, because I see grass protein, protein from potatoes, why not protein concentrate from seaweed? Maybe that's the future. I don't know, but again, it has a cost, or when there is not enough, I mean, we will look into that area definitely. Yeah.
No, my question has a purpose because India as a country, we, on a policy level, we are giving a very strong boost to the seaweed sector. And just to cater to the, nutraceutical purposes, it does not suffice the production that we are aiming at. Unless it becomes a part of an animal protein, animal feed protein, the scale at which you produce may not be consumed in India. So my question has this purpose. If in case this seaweed becomes a part of a plant protein, are you able to hear me?
Not present, it's a bit feeble.
Okay. So basically, what I am trying to tell you is that if this seaweed can be considered as an alternate plant protein source in fish feed or a sheep feed, that should give us some way out, because it is also environmentally sustainable in terms of carbon footprint. That's my wild or stupid thought. I think experts must answer this.
So I said it depends on species, market. For example, in salmon feed, it's a very high energy dense, nutrient dense feed. That's 30-40% fat energy, and then you have a protein and less small amount of fraction for binding the extruded color, and the rest is micro. So there is not much space. If you bring seaweed as a less nutrient dense raw ingredients, I mean there will be a problem. So but it may not be a problem for a shrimp, for example, where you have a space actually. So there it can be potentially used. But again, we need to look, are we able to get in a volume that we need, consistent volume? Because that's also very important, because you can look into research, small level and small level, but at industry, when you speak at industry, you need a consistent, scalable level, right volume, consistent supply. So if you don't have that thing, industry will not take up on the right price, of course.
Yes, I think I will supplement, sir. It's a good question. Actually, we started working on pieces of seaweed. See, country like India, Caspian seaweed has been propagated beyond its actual utility here. So, realistically speaking, wherever it is successful, it has been used as part of human food. Where it is successful. Here in India, unless we target as a feeds market, you cannot have much market. After that, it will collapse. And we have to think, we cannot use it as an ingredient. We have to use it as a functional ingredient. See, no seaweed is contained, majority of the seaweeds it contains 9 to 13% only protein. So it is not a protein ingredient, rather it has got some functional nutrient. So we have to exploit. One of my students has done PhD on seaweeds. We found out that it can be used as an organic binder. At particular, we found out that inclusion of 4 to 5% it is a good natural binding, and also it improves the immune mechanism of the shrimp. So we have to target in the name of functional ingredient for seaweed, not as a regular ingredient to replace fish meal, because it's not a fish meal, not a regular energy source. So like that we have to target. It cannot be. It cannot be, because no seaweed is having more than 16% protein. No, that only thing, but no, there are some scope is there, we have to utilize, like yesterday's discussion, we can go for fermentation. So high value added product, extract, try to use that. And moreover, but major problem, we have also seen many people doesn't know, on practical laboratory research they have done. If you really look into the practical aspects of feed processing, seaweed is very much more tough. See, after once it is dried, you cannot grind in your ordinary grinder. Your mixer will go. So these are not the challenges, but we have got some technology. So this fermentation along with this one. So please target, I hope, as a functional ingredient, it will work better. It has got good scope, I think it will go to work. Already we started, we started, there are 2 projects running, 2 students are doing PhD on that, we started working. Then with the permission of chair, one more I want to supplement the insect show. Yes, it is a very good sustainable ingredient. It is a circular ingredient, it is a carbon saving ingredient, but what at present, most of the startup are the availabilities where, like as Sahu told, the scalability and the cost. Europe to place almost 90% of the cost of the fish meal. Then only it will have a take up here. Otherwise it will not take. So unless and until your black soldier price is priced at here, we are working with 4 startups who are trying to produce. Again, black soldier fly also, we are targeting some functional ingredients. See, what's the way fish meal is giving a good results means it has got a bioactive peptides. So now there are industry starters who started manipulating the bioactive peptides in the black soldier fly by inducing certain stress. So we have manipulated and we have actually quantified the AMPs present in the black soldier flies, and again it is also eliciting immune response both in the shrimp and fish. So these are all my thoughts for the questions.
I'll just add. Because you know that what you are telling that seaweed is huge biomass. We should not simply overlook, because why what you are telling you want to see the protein source, that is not possible, because protein source, some seaweeds are rich in proteins, very rare, but major are rich in, this is carbohydrate source. So why don't you use as a carbohydrate source? Because you see, I am tell you one thing, the rice bran, the cheapest ingredient in India, rice bran, but the cost is now almost 20 rupees. So now in carb feed we are using this rice bran. So it is now not sustainable. How much we are producing? 10 million tons of rice bran available in India. We are not increasing any rice production. We are not expecting yet double in coming 5 years. But we want to double fish productions. Ingredients where it will come from. So in future, what we are thinking last 30-40 years, 50 years for replacing fish meal. Now you start thinking replacing bioenergy. Where will you get it? These things can be used, may be used. Because huge biomass, you cannot, because this can be used as a source of carbohydrates, what is called fermentations. Otherwise, take it, make some source of silage, whatever technology, that can be projected, not as protein source, that can be replaced as a rice bran, that is the required in the future.
You revert the question.
Yes.
You revert the question, not as a protein source. My primary intention of asking that question is to use it in a task.
Yes, that's why because it's important.
Ingredients.
Anthony, Dr. Anthony, yesterday there was a very involved discussion on the seaweed. Because our ministry, the moment we prioritized as a production, there's a lot of, over kind of hopes on seaweed. The reality is that yesterday, from 19, you can say from 80s, even CMFRA, the seaweed scenario is been talking about. But the reality is that in the Mandapam and Gulf of Mannar, Ramnath, Tuticorin coast, 90% of the seaweed thing is happening in gathering, maybe in agri industry. Somehow, the seaweed farming is not a realistic reality. Main thing is there is no seeds available, and in near future also we are not targeting. And another thing is that how far our cost is ideal. Okay, so I think there is, yesterday this was discussed in detail. In the near thing, to looking for a large scale seaweed biomass is not a reality. So, what I mean, you need some kind of fact check and correction. Otherwise, what will happen, this will keep on, because yesterday, Science Research Institute was the CMFRA, you were the, this is the reality. If you can look into time scale and see what happened in the, unless we see this gap, it is not, because for some time the camouflage thing was there, because this carrageenan and the triclosan things were there as an additive in Pepsi, etc. So I think looking at, seaweed as a resource is good, but how far and what is the amount? And again, as Dr. Ambasandra said or Sabu said, whether what, otherwise even the ministry, you have prioritized, a lot of funding has gone, maybe a 1 decade checkup, data set checkup and see the reality will be good. Otherwise, we will be unnecessarily, talking more about it, focusing about it without any realistic input. That is a thing has to do. Yesterday's thing, it was discussed in detail. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. I think this is a big issue.
I am not talking from the point of view of speculations. I am carefully using the word speculation. When I say that whether it can be consumed, once we start consuming it in the industrial scale, ways and means will follow. I do agree with you, sir, our coast is not that conducive for that much production, but still there is a scope to produce.
That we cannot leave away. So when we produce that available potential, whether do we have a scope to consume? That is the question, because the smallest quantity that is produced in Ramanathapuram is being, I am sorry if I am making a wrong statement, but monopolized.
That's the only market available presently.
So I don't, and people are crying for the price. So as long as there is no consumer with an appropriate price, the industry will never grow. So my,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
I made my
That's
point.
understood.
Thank you.
Okay, now with this, Sarvanan, thank you very much for your brief presentation. With a lot of difficulty, you could able to join. You may join also for the next, our panel discussion will start. So, you can join if you wish. Otherwise, you are free to go. It is up to you. Thank you very much. And now.
Thank you very much. I think it's a lunchtime for me. Thanks everyone, and thanks for listening.
Okay, thank you. Last time. Have a nice lunch. Thank you.
Bye-bye.